Welcome back to Interviewing Jesus, the podcast where we explore faith, life, and the human experience through insightful conversations. Today, we have an absolute pleasure of hosting the incredible Rhonda Britten, a New York Times bestselling author, Emmy Award winner, and globally recognized life coach. Rhonda has dedicated her life to helping people break free from fear and to live their most authentic and courageous lives. Get ready for a powerful and uplifting conversation as we delve into Rhonda's wisdom and discover how her insights resonate with timeless spiritual truths. Be sure to stick around until the end for some actionable takeaways from Rhonda. And if you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps others find these inspiring conversations. It is such a joy to have you with us here today. I'll see you on the inside. Hello from the Pacific Northwest. This is Kristen from KristenWambach.com, and you're listening to Interviewing Jesus podcast. Answer me this. How does a Baptist farm girl from Oregon stumble upon the mystical nature of Christ, the love of God? If you're like me, Jesus has redefined what you used to say yes to. Join me and my guests on a mystical journey. But before we talk about the spiritual woo-woo, you need to know I am totally sold out to Jesus. It's amazing what the love of God reveals. Welcome, Interviewing Jesus family. Welcome. Today, our special guest is Rhonda Britten, a beacon of transformation, an Emmy Award winner, a frequent guest on Oprah, and a master coach who's touched the lives across more than 600 episodes of reality TV. Oh my goodness. And the author of 4 bestsellers, including her groundbreaking work, Fearless Living, which was translated into 16 languages. She's the heart and the soul behind Fearless Living Institute, where she spearheads the Fearless Living Life Coach Certification Program, often referred to as the Harvard of Life Coach Training. She was the first ever, get this, first ever life coach on television, lighting up screens for 3 seasons as the head life coach on NBC's hit daytime show Starting Over. The New York Times branded her she's the most valuable player, and she's affectionately known across the nation as America's favorite life coach. Rhonda has a knack for turning the complex neuroscience of fear into practical, everyday language. Her mission to guide you out of the I'm not good enough mindset with the help of her self-developed Wheels technology, the very tool that saved her own life. With a following that spans millions, Rhonda's words have been read, heard, and watched worldwide. She's coached a multitude of clients, trained hundreds of coaches, and now she's eager to share her wealth of knowledge with you and I. Are you ready for the journey? I am too. Rhonda, I am honored to share this time with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Hey, welcome. Yay. So I'm here in the Pacific Northwest here in Corvallis. And where are you speaking from?
Los Angeles, and I love the Pacific Northwest. It's like one of my very favorite places to go. I always think about moving up to state of Washington, or my sister lives in Idaho, Boise, so I'm up there frequently. So, and I have lots of friends in Boulder and Bend, Oregon, so I love it up there.
Yeah. I was actually born in LA, in Westchester.
Oh my
So
gosh.
technically I'm a California girl, but
Yep.
oh, yay. So let's just kind of jump right in. And listeners, I like it when you ask questions. So ask me the questions in the spirit, and I'll do my best to tune them in, hear them, so we can just have this really lovely conversation. Recently listened to an interview that you did, and you were talking about when you were sitting in a PR agency. You were talking about life coaching. Here you are. And then you described it as the ceiling opened up,
That's
a
right.
cloud came out,
That's
and a
right.
book opened up and it went whoop and it flared all the pages right
That's
in
right.
front of you and gave you all the answers.
That's right.
And you knew you had the call.
Well, I knew I had something, and I was in a spiritual practitioner program at the time to become a spiritual counselor in a 4-year program. And the next day, thank the Lord, I had a meeting with my minister. And I went in there, went, okay, so the scaling opened up, a cloud came out, book was on it, blah, 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 book shut, went back on the cloud, and went back in the ceiling. Hello. And I said, what happened when that happened is I got a download and I knew every answer to every question I'd ever had. And it also gave me the instructions that you are now meant to share this. Well, just because you're told to do something doesn't mean you're ready to do it or that you believe you can, right? Like so I go to my minister and I tell her this story. And she goes, well, you got the call, you're ready. And I said, oh, no, 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 no. I left college with 3 credits left. I cannot go I have to finish my bachelor's. Then I got to go get a master's, get a PhD, write a book. I'll be ready in about 7 to 10 years. And she just kept saying, well, you got the call. When you get the call, you're ready. And I just kept saying to her, no, you don't understand. I can't be ready. Don't you forget that I was an alcoholic. I had DUIs, suicide attempts, and all that. No, I need to do all this other work before I could ever say a word, right? And so she just, kind of kept affirming that, so to speak, right? And it took me many months to surrender, to say yes, because again, I at that time felt like my past did dictate my future. I did feel like I could not transcend my past. So I had done, I'd experienced so many, tough things and handled them in poor ways. And I just believed that I was no role model. So how could what am I tell people? Oh, by the way, I got this download and now I'm going to tell you but don't look at my life. Just listen to God through me. Right. And it took me months to finally surrender, but I finally did. And here I am today. So, and then God still nudges me on a regular basis.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
Yeah, I call him a nag.
I think I always say Holy Spirit bashes me upside the head and says, hello.
Well, you can do it the easy way, or you can just, he gives me nudges all the time and says, do this, do that. And of course, not in that way. But I feel most of the time, not all the time, because sometimes it's hard to hear, but most of the time I am aware of what I'm supposed to be doing. And I got to tell you, knowing that, having that clarity gives me so much peace. And when I don't have that clarity, when I can't hear him and I don't have that clarity, my peace is compromised, right? Because so it's like, okay. And I just have to settle in and go, okay, wait a minute. I'm going through through a tunnel, so to speak, right? I'm going through a dark night, I'm going through a tunnel. And I have learned that when I go through those things, it actually means that I'm leveling up my level of listening, awareness, spirituality, etc. And I just don't have access to it now because it's recalibrating.
Great way to share that. Yeah, so your spirit is literally locked into it, but it's looking for language through your soul and your emotions so that it can come out and be tactile and kinetic.
Yeah. So I discovered this with prayer.
Mhm.
So when I was first in the spiritual practitioner training program, we had many classes about prayer.
Mhm.
I was an excellent prayer. I like prayed. It was like, right. And then I took these classes on prayer, right?
Uh-huh.
And it made me stiff because it was like a formulaic thing, right? Oh, yes, pray that, right? Do this, right? And I felt stifled by it. And I couldn't pray all of it. Like I couldn't pray. I couldn't pray from source. I couldn't pray from God. I was praying from this mechanical way, and I felt so disconnected from source.
Mhm.
And during this time, I was going through one of those bridges, going through one of those tunnels, and I was able to pray again after I moved through, and my prayers were better, right? Like I was able to pray from a higher consciousness. So that's when I realized I can't do things the way I did them before when I'm recalibrating.
So when you pray, do you use words? Do you not use words? Is it do you have spiritual sight with it, spiritual feelings, or is there words? How is that transmitted between you and God?
I hear words or I get a sense, like it's almost like it's not intuition because I know it's God, but intuition and God to me are the same thing. So it's like an intuitive hit that I'm
Mhm.
very clear about. And usually what he wants me to do is something that I'm not presently doing, right? It's something new. And that's one of those things I say is like, you really know it's God when he sidelines you in the sense of he gives you something that is not in your wheelhouse, not on your radar, right? It's like, what? You want me to do what? So that level of shock, that level of surprise is one of the tools I find that he uses with me anyway. So yeah, so I hear him and I also have intuition.
Mhm.
And that's the same when I work with my clients as well. So I can read my clients really well. I listen, and I actually believe that I'm speaking for their soul until they can hear their own soul.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I feel like I'm their messenger because they can't hear it yet.
Yeah. I love what you said, kind of a nutshell of your blueprint is that you are a bridge between reality and spiritual truth.
Yeah, I remember I got that when I was in a spiritual program, my spiritual counseling program. We had to create like a business, business plan thingy.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't a plan per se, but it had to be like a manifesto or a theme for your business,
Mhm.
right? And this is definitely God. Fearless living came from God. I didn't come up with that. Live the life your soul intended came from God. That's what he told me my motto was. Also the human reality and spiritual truth. I really get that I believe that I am a bridge between human reality and spiritual truth because I'm very much into the practical. Because when I was going through my dark nights, um, reading a book and telling me to be more loving to myself is not helpful. If you don't love yourself, how do you know how to do that then? So don't tell me to love myself. Don't tell me to forgive. Don't tell me that you have worth. Show me what to
Yes.
do. How. So here I was, I wanted to be a minister since I was 13. For most of my life, I've been connected, but I didn't know how. And so I am highly connected to the how of how do we live in this human reality in a spirit in living in spiritual truth at the same time.
Mm.
I find that when I got that download from God, one of my questions is why do spiritual people, why can't they make a dime? And why do rich people feel like they've got a cold soul, right? Like that whole conversation when I was younger. And it really was that the how was missing. So I'm a big believer in how, and that's what I teach and train my clients and my students and my coaches. And then always with the basis of spiritual truth. Everything I do, even with the coaches, I have 8 coaching skills. My first coaching skill that I teach my coaches is how to see others' innocence, speak as if they're innocent. And, people will kind of roll their eyes like, yeah, I do that. I'm like, really? Because I think speak innocence is like seeing innocence is like Jesus stuff. I don't think that's easy. I think that's Jesus stuff. So, how do you actually see somebody's innocence when you're in the middle of hating on them, right? Or judging them? Very difficult to do. And how do you see your own innocence in the midst of your misbehaving or your judgment or you're beating yourself up? So, how do you do that? So, that's one of the number one skills that I teach my coaches because without that, you're not coaching the soul, then you're coaching the problem. And I believe we're coaching the soul. We're coaching the human being to access the soul, right? Yes, we're solving problems, but those are incidental, to be honest.
Well, just because we're getting to know each other, my epiphany, the way he said my epiphany after, fasting and all that stuff and doing all the hanging, is he said, I want you to re educate the educated.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. Oh, God, I love that.
When yes, you're talking about a young girl who had dyslexia, hated reading, writing, and arithmetic, and teachers. There's the trash can right here, and now, hello, you want me to do what?
Right? I'm with you. Right. He asks to do the impossible, what you think is impossible. right? You think, I mean, I know for me, it was like, do what? I can't do that. But the great thing is he knows better than we do. And, every goal he gives us, as you know, is just a soul evolution. So yeah, I love that. I love that that's your gift, your job on this planet.
Yeah, it's humorous. And where did you want us to start, Okay. This is good. This is good. Oh, right. You talk about your wheel, your 10 wheel and the wheel of fear and the wheel of
Freedom.
freedom, right? Have you ever used that wheel with your relationship with God?
Yeah, I mean, it is my relationship with God. Wheel of fear and the wheel of freedom are basically when you are on the wheel of fear, you're earthbound, right?
Mhm.
And when you are on your wheel of freedom, you're sourced by God. So in order to live the life we're meant to, live the life we're so intended, our job is to live as much as we can because we're human, so we're not going to be perfect, is to live on that wheel of freedom because then we can hear God, then we can follow direction, then we can have the courage to ask for help, then we can let go of judgment, then we can let go of thinking we should be different than we are, right? We can let go of all that and really embrace who we are fully and completely with all of our flaws, with all of our past, with all of our, all of our stuff, right? We can say, okay, this is the vehicle he gave me to work with, and he's given me an order, so to speak. So I guess this is how I do it. And that wheel of freedom will give you the nudge, the push, the skill, the path in
Mhm.
order to start practicing that.
Yeah, the passions to, "Oh, I can do this, a new life skill. I can learn how to do this." Yes, yes. So, how has he taught you about his love and his love for you and his love for you?
Well, that's very interesting one because I think for me personally, that has been one of my, how can I say this? When I was young, when I was 13, because I loved God ever since I was little. So I wanted to go to church all the time. I was one of those kids when I was 5, I was going to church. 7, I wanted to go to church. So by the time I hit 13, I knew that I wanted to be a minister. I knew it. And so that I felt very loved by God. And I remember feeling so clear and so loved. I feel necessarily loved in the human plane, but I felt loved by God. And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to go to church, because on the human plane, I wasn't loved by, enough human beings, right? So God gave me that love. But then after my parents died, when they died, I really felt that was God's test for me. And so 13, I said, I'm going to be a minister. 14, my parents die. The first words I hear after their death is, I won't ever give you anything you can't handle. And I'm like, what, are you crazy? I
Yeah.
can't handle this. I can't handle this, their deaths. And so from that moment, I basically put God, I loved him. I never got mad at God, but I didn't trust God. And I could not handle the consequences of the tasks he assigned. So, I say I'm going to be a minister, then my parents die. That's pretty big. I don't think I can do that anymore. So I basically, for almost 20 years, believed, and again, I knew logically this wasn't true, okay? But cellularly, I absolutely believed that if I devoted my life to God again, my sisters would die. So I literally believed that. Again, logically, I knew it wasn't true, right? I knew that it wasn't true. But every cell in my being believed. And I remember I was going to the spiritual program, so I was still going to the spiritual counseling program, but I wasn't using the word God. I'd switch it to light source because I couldn't hear the word God yet. And I'm going home from that event one night, one of my classes, and God had been nagging me, nudging me, right? I actually was pouring rain on the 405 in Los Angeles. And the 405, it's raining, pouring rain. I get off on Mulholland Drive. I pull over in the parking lot of a church, no less. And I say, God, let's have it out. And we literally, when they say wrestle with God, I wrestled with God. And I did. I mean, God and I had it out. I can't imagine what people thought if somebody could see what was going on in my SUV at the time. But I was wrestling with God. After I don't know how long, half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even over an hour, um, I finally got to the place where I told God I can no longer deny him. And if that meant my sisters had to die, so be it. And again, logically, I knew that didn't have to happen. But from every cell in my body, I had to be okay with that happening. Right. So, for years after my parents died, I had nightmares about my sisters dying and my nieces and nephews dying. I really did believe that my keeping God at bay kept them on somewhat alive. So I said to God, "Okay, if that's the cost, I can no longer deny you, bring it." Right. Well, the next day they were alive, but days after, I'm still like, but I started using the word God again, and I started feeling him again, and I started feeling sourced by him again. And that's really when I got the thing with the ceiling happened and the cloud, was after I gave my life to God again. And after that, I felt very, 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 very loved by God. But I would say in 2008, 2011, I went through a dark night, a 3-year dark night, and I couldn't feel God at all. So I think that my journey with the love of God, do I logically know it exists? Of course I do. Do I know it exists even though I can't feel it? Yes, I do. But there are definitely times in my life where I have felt it alive and breathing in and as me and leading my life. And other times where I was in the dark and I couldn't feel him, see him, experience him. And I think that's very normal on a spiritual path. So did I know logically he loved me during those times? Of course. I knew something good was happening. That's the thing. When I was going through the dark night, even though I was crawling through glass and basically I put everything in my car, put everything in storage, then moved to my car and stayed at people's houses for 3 years and just traveled around the country because I couldn't be alone. I was so petrified of dying that I couldn't be alone. And so during that time when I'm driving around the country, again, I couldn't feel God. But I knew I couldn't be alone because something bad would happen and I would die. So I did it. But the whole time I was in that place, I just kept going, this is going to be good on the other side. Like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. I know it's going to be good on the other side. Like, this is really putting me through the paces. Like, this is putting me through something that is, killing off a part of me that is hanging on to some sort of something that will not let me expand or grow or ABC of whatever that needed to happen. So, yeah, so when I came out of it, I mean, my good friends will tell you I'm different. And how I'm different is I'm more compassionate, more loving, probably more authentic and more centered, more peaceful. And that was all because I went through 3 years of, crawling through glass.
Why is your description crawling through your glass?
Oh my God, I was literally every single day, I was haunted by suicide thoughts every day. Every day, I know it wasn't God telling me to do this, right? But it was like, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. Now, I wasn't going to kill myself, but the thoughts were overwhelming, which is why I packed up my place, put my stuff in storage, and drove to a friend's house because I could not be alone. I did not trust myself alone. And again, did I want to? No, of course I didn't want to die. So I made sure that I wouldn't have the opportunity to do it because I knew that I wouldn't kill myself if I was in somebody's home or a hotel or something, right? I didn't want anyone to find me. That would be horrible. So it was literally like I had no inspirations. I had no desires. I had no passions. I had no motivation. I literally was just attempting to stay alive. And that was my focus for almost 3 years. So that to me is crawling through glass, going through that dark night of like, leaving parts of yourself behind that no longer serve you and being willing to embrace that next expansion of who you really are. Maybe I told you too much.
No, I'm actually contemplating sharing something.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I ripped open my guts.
All right. All right. All right. 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 So my spiritual moment. So Jesus here, the little Baptist girl sitting in the pew, right? They didn't teach you anything about this. So years go by, and if you love somebody, they're going to tell you all the good stuff. They're going to show you the good stuff. They're going to show you their love. And he opens up my spiritual eyes. Hello. Hello. Does somebody know about this? Okay. Those angels. Can they show up here, there, spiritual beings, all this stuff? And I went, there's no preparing for that. Especially, yeah. good old evangelical church, you better forget about it. So I remember getting into this place. I had this place I called my blue house. It was like
Mm.
a farmhouse. I went with Jesus there all the time. And a lot of times, you know how you can see what's going to happen before it's going to happen, and you already know what's going to transpire. Some people might call that deja vu, but so Jesus was standing there, and I was walking down the stairs, and I knew exactly what he was going to do. So he walks over to this, it's a spiritual place, a training place. And he walks up to the wall safe. He opens it up and he grabs out a jeweler's leather pouch. And I knew what was in there. This is over a period of time of spiritual, 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 spiritual. I can't talk to anybody about this, because most people just think you're whacked.
You're crazy.
Yes. And he takes this jeweler's pouch and he has it in his hand and he leans to me to hand it to me. And I went, and I screamed at him in heaven. I screamed at him on earth. I screamed, but I said, I don't want another spiritual gift if I can't get it. My life changed that day. So when you were describing your glass of tunnel, what I really wanted to ask you, when Jesus was in the grave for 3 days, and he was there, technically, if you read scripture, he was there. It says his body was there because they went and they wrapped it with the oils. If his body wasn't there, then they wouldn't have gone and wrapped it with oils. They would have seen that it had been removed before its 3-day time. So I always had this question. So what went on? Where'd you go and what you do? Hello. So if he left, he led captivity captive. And how many people actually go and experience the lower realms of the earth? And I mean, hello, I'm just this Baptist girl sitting in the pew here, and you're going to tell me about the lower realms of the earth and who's there?
Yeah. I love that. I love
And
it.
that the love of God is there? And hello, we got it wrong. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is where I always go. If you believe that God created everything, if you believe he's omnipotent, omniscient, if you believe that, then he created everything.
Yeah.
And he's doing everything, right?
Everything.
Everything. So, here I am crawling through glass. You're sitting there going, oh my God, what's happening to me? Yeah, this too is God. This too is God. This too is God. So I know for me, that's one of the things that I practice is like, this too is God. This too is God. And the earth right now, in this moment, in the world, in this moment, God has me and you here. We are supposed to be here in this moment. Now, we may not know our jobs right now, what we're supposed to do about what's happening in the world, but we're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And we are meant to be here right now. Right now might be what we're meant to do, right? Just me, you having this conversation right now might be us fulfilling our, our, so to speak, right? But again, we might be called to another piece of the mission, but we're here right now to do something to help increase the love on this planet. Because I agree with you, it's all about love. It's all about love, feeling the love, believing the love, allowing the love to heal you, because that's what I do believe heals you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It heals your brokenness, it heals your pain, it heals your, right? It heals your self-doubt, it heals your, feeling like you're not enough, right? It heals you. So, but being willing to practice seeing yourself as worthy of that love and that you are lovable and that you are being loved and that your job is to love others. We can say that, you and I, probably pretty easy, but living it is the ultimate. That is the ultimate test, right? Because it's so easy in this world to forget that we are spiritual beings, that we are love machines, that we are meant to love everyone, no matter if they hit our car that day or not, right? Whether they cut us off, right? Or, they forget to drop something off or whatever it is, but love them too. And so my personal quest on this earth is to expand my ability to give and receive love. And I feel like I'm still a novice at it. I'm better than I used to be, but I'm still a novice at how do I expand myself or how do I receive more love in order to give more love.
Yeah, it's proverbial kindergarten.
Yeah, it's true.
So, let's just always hold hands when we cross the street and we'll be good.
That's right. That's right. But you got to have that humility. I talk about humility all the time because, humility is what got me over here. Because if I would have kept believing that, believing the way I did, I would have never gotten to the other side. I would have never been able to shift from that place of fear to freedom. It's humility when, I had 3 girlfriends, dump me as a friend, in a really tight, compressed time. The first time, the first friend dumped me. I'm like, well, she's, a horrible person, right? The second one was like her and me. And then the third one, I was like, oh, it is me. It is all me. But me being willing to admit it's me was revelatory. It was a revelation. I had never had that thought before in that way. I'd blamed myself before all the time, but to take full responsibility and say, wait a minute, I'm the common denominator here. What am I doing? How am I contributing? It was radical for me to think that way. And I think it's radical for many people to think that way because we're trained in our society almost to blame and be the victims. And I'll say one thing about victim. A couple years ago, actually during COVID, what I did for 2 years, I practiced using the word victim and calling myself out anytime I was a victim. And, who likes the word victim? Nobody. I don't know anybody likes the word victim. But because I didn't like the word, I decided to fall in love with the word. And I practiced using that word for 2 years. And anytime I had any scent of victimization, I said, you're being a victim right now, Rhonda. And that was, again, a completely humbling experience.
You didn't love the word. You just didn't love yourself acting like the word.
Yes.
Yeah. We could all stand to hear that again. You wanna go, "Woo?"
Well, I just think that, our ability, when we're afraid to speak a word, when we're afraid to admit something, then that owns us.
Mhm.
That owns it. It's when I got sober, right? I've been sober now. It's going to be 36 years coming up. And I would say about 3 months I was into my sobriety about 3 months and I was waitressing at the time. And my manager got me really mad. She wouldn't give me time off that I needed. Okay. And so I was really upset. I got really angry because, I'm there all the time and I always say yes and I do everything. And she wouldn't give me this time off I needed. And I remember I got so angry that I went to the bar next door and I had the bartender pour me a B-52 shot. And a friend of mine who is the one that helped, open my eyes to maybe I need to get sober, made me promise that if I ever wanted to drink, I'd call him. And so we didn't have cell phones back then. So I used the bar phone. And because I was a regular in the past, they let me use it. I called my friend Bill and I said, Bill, and he worked at the same restaurant I did. So I said, Bill, so-and-so is just, and I'm here. I just want to I promised I would tell you. So I'm calling you. The bartender's already poured a B-52 and I'm going to drink it. So got to go and have that drink. And he goes, oh, wait, can I ask you one thing before you do? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And he goes, well, if you have that drink, our boss is running your life. And I went, what? What did you just say?
Yeah.
I go, he goes, well, if you have that drink because you're mad about what she did, then she is actually running your life. Okay. I don't know how many times I asked him to repeat that, but I was like, and so that day I decided, no, I am going to take, no, nobody's going to run my life but me. I.e., obviously except God, but, I'm not going to have a human being deciding my actions or reactions. I am going to own it. So I didn't have a drink that day. And now what I tell my clients is if you are living to please somebody else and it's not God, or living to please a human person, and because you're worried about what they think or you want their love or you want to be thought of a certain way by them, they're actually running your life. So then give them your life and quit complaining about it and actually ask them to create your schedules for yourself and tell you what to do every day because that's what's happening anyway. When I say that to people, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to do. Well, that's what you're doing. So we get to decide if we want ownership of our lives or are we walking around letting everybody else run our lives? And I think for the majority of us, we're letting a lot of people run our lives.
For situation, circumstance, even like you said, guy that cut us off in the
Yeah.
on the road.
Yeah.
That anger is running a life. So you just gave him all your power.
Right. That's
There you go.
love God, love God,
Love God.
love God. Thank you, 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 God, for everything. Thank you, God, for the lessons. Thank you, God.
Me Jesus.
Yes, help me, Jesus.
Me Jesus. I have a wonderful question I'd love us to mull over.
Please.
Hypothetically, a person, it could be many bents, but I'm talking in the area of healing. A person, and because I want to know, because there's more to the how, and so I have some questions out there. I said, okay, God, you are teaching me this how, so I'm listening. I'm going to ask the question here, ask the question here, ask the question here. I'm going to keep asking the question until I got the how down,
Yeah.
where I can help
Yeah.
around me.
Yeah.
So a person who is believing God, because I believe healing, death, decay, I don't think so. Jesus came, overcame sin, death, decay, sickness. All right, let's get to it. The same person who says, if I can't, if you can give me something spiritual here, I want to get it here.
Mhm.
So I have some things to learn.
Mhm.
So a person is believing God to bring that healing to pass. They believe God, the same thing Jesus, by his stripes we're healed. Okay. And they are afraid that they will not receive their healing.
Yes.
They may not even actually be able to put a word about being afraid. And
Yes.
it puts tremendous pressure on them to receive.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Receiving is harder than giving, percent.
Can we unpack that?
Well, as the Course in Miracles says, the cost of giving is receiving. So, we want to give and yet we refuse to receive. So then how does the cycle continue? Right? If everyone is part and parcel of God, if everyone is love itself, if everyone is meant here to fulfill God's mission, then my job is to receive as well as to give. So I know for myself, receiving for many years was possible. I couldn't ask for help. That's why that dark night changed me so much, because I actually had to ask people, can I stay at your house? I'd never done that before in my whole life. I never stayed at people's house more than a day. So just asking for that, and I had to receive it and not apologize the whole time while I was there and go, I'm so sorry, I'm taking up your time. I'm so sorry. I know I'm a bother, right? Like not apologizing one bit. So, practicing receiving is such a gift to the giver and is such a gift for the cycle of love and the cycle of creation. So your practice, like let's say that healing, difficulty accepting that healing. I'm going to just say something radical in this moment. And it's going to be like, I'm going to say it because you've been brave. So I'm going to say it. A couple things go through me when somebody in that moment, like is unwilling to receive that healing. One, they either think they are too almost good for it. I know that seems radical, or they haven't earned it, right?
Yeah, that word earn can get it.
Right. So they haven't earned it. Well, the minute you think you have to earn God's love, then what God do you believe in?
Come on.
Right. Right. So your job is not, you don't have to earn God's love. You have to, it feels like you have to earn human love, but not God's love. So you have to transcend that earning and just go, this is not, first of all, it's none of their business, to be honest, if from a high spiritual plane, it's none of their business whether they receive it or not. Their job is to ask for it and open themselves up to it. So God, you do your will. They say the highest prayer is thy will be done, right? So you deciding whether to accept it or not is actually way egotistical. Like you're higher than God. You're the one going to decide this. I don't think so. God's going to decide this, not you. So do thy will be done. So God, you can say, I don't know if I've earned this or deserved this, but I know your love is bigger than this. Therefore, your will be done. If I am meant to be healed, heal me. If I'm not meant to be healed, then show me what the purpose of this is and what I'm supposed to do with it. Because something is happening to my physical body and I am uncomfortable and I don't like it. So help me understand. Is it for humility? I say yes. Is it for acceptance of the earthly plane? and that I am practicing wanting and needing the spiritual plane more. Like, what is it? But thy will be done. So we sit around and think that we are actually the ones deciding. No, God's deciding. And so get your small mind out of the way. And it's none of your business whether you're healed or not. You can ask for it, absolutely. You can say, I want it, absolutely. And then you say, thy will be done. I am here, I'm available, I'm a vessel for healing, and you decide. You're in charge. And then you don't have to worry about receiving or not, because God helps us receive whether we're a vehicle for yes or no, right? So I'm a big believer in, anytime I'm deciding whether I want to do it or not, well, then am I really listening? Am I really being obedient? Am I really listening to what my steps are? Am I really listening? Am I really doing what I'm called to do? Yeah. No, I'm not. Now, this doesn't mean like what movie I can watch. I can watch any movie I want, probably. But I'm talking about the things that you're discussing, which is healing. Much of these things is none of our business. And all we must do is say yes and more yes, yes and more yes, yes and more yes, yes and more yes. Use me, use me, use me, use me, yes and more yes.
I think I'm going to respectfully disagree.
Please do. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's
Because
do it.
it's the gift. I mean, Jesus has provided it for
Yes.
us. It
Yes.
is yes. When
Yes.
you say we don't have to, the problem isn't asking, let your will be done. The problem is that we're not close enough to hear what his will is.
That I agree with 100%. 100%. We're not listening because our ears are not open. I agree with you. I think most people can't listen. But the conversation that I want people to remove is the back and forth, whether I deserve it or not, because that's on the human
Mhm.
plane, right?
Uh-huh.
That's your humanness fighting it out with your humanness.
Right.
It's not transcending,
Mhm.
right? Well, yes. Can you ask things of God? Yes. Can you demand things of God? Kind of, yeah, you can. Right? You can say,
Yeah.
God, I mean, how many times have I fallen on my knees and just begged, right? And then a miracle happened. I
Mhm.
can't tell you how many times, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, you can beg. Yeah, you can cry. Yeah, you can demand. Yes, you can ask. And then you must receive and accept whatever that answer is, you know? But yeah, I believe that most people do not hear, and they're just stuck in the human plane, having a relationship with God in their human head, right? Just going around and around with their thoughts.
That's a
I
good
agree.
way that you step out of what you thought, your ego, you step out of it so that you can actually look at the shards of glass, since we're into glass today here, so we can look at the different shards of glass that actually make up our mindset and our thought patterns. Because it takes, again, a brave person to step back and say, okay, God, how am I really thinking about this? And where did this get formed from? Can we go back to the root? And am I brave enough to allow him to show me the root?
And I would say you don't even need to know the root. You don't even have to know the root. You don't have to go pull the root out. The root will dissolve. As you move forward, the roots dissolve from behind you. I do
Ooh, I
think,
love that. I love
yeah. So
that.
I think so many times people get caught up in the why. Why am I like this? Why is this happening? Why? Why is this? Why am I like this guy? It does not matter why. All that matters is right here, right now. What is true for you now? Who do you want to be now? How do you want to show up now? And then what happens, my experience is this, and I see this in my clients, is as you move forward in this new way of being, your past literally dissolves. Your memories change. I mean, I've had memories change, like literally memories shift. And I see my parents' death differently. I don't see it the same way at all anymore, right? Like I see so many things different than I did because I increased my ability to see beyond, the like you could say ego, I take the wheel of fear, whatever it is, the attachment to the human realm, right? So then you can do that. Well, as you move forward and you're practicing being of that higher place, i.e., more transcendent, i.e., more connected to God, i.e., more surrendered, i.e., more humble, then all of that, your whole picture of all of that changes. You were raped, you're going to see it differently. It's still going to be horrible, don't get me wrong, but you're going to experience it differently. You're going to see death differently. You're going to see that accident differently. You're going to see your health challenge differently. So, our job is to, as they say, take the take the log out of your own eye, right? Take the spike out of your own eye, right? So it's like, how clearly can I see? And am I willing, as you said earlier, and I'll say it this way, is to touch the hem of the garment. Are you brave enough to touch the hem of the garment? So just touching the hem of the garment says, I believe, right? Says, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. You don't have to believe 100%. You just have to believe enough. And i.e., he'll supply that belief, right?
Can I share with you my little story? I had the conversation about the woman with the issue blood and the hem of the garment.
Yeah.
So when he explained it to me, he goes, "Do you know why she was after the hem of my garment?" And I go, "All right, I guess you're going to tell me here." He goes, "Well, because on the hem of the garment is where the blue cord was that represented all the law. She was pissed off at the law because it was the law that separated her from her family. So if I can touch that law that has separated me from my family and kept me away from everybody I love," she was pissed.
I love that.
She was pissed.
You ever written down your stories about your conversations with Jesus?
Yep. I got the official first book. That's done. That's been out since 2018. It's my journey from uh pew 7, row 8, from that side back over. And, well, I asked Jesus, I'm 50. What happened when I was 8? I mean, that big salvation moment. What
Yeah.
happened? He showed me. And
Wow.
so I just kind of kept going through and I shared feeling hidden, feeling separate because, nobody's talking about this seeing stuff and, my expectations on the leaders. Well, geez, shouldn't you know this stuff? So I had to change because I put all those expectations on the leaders that, well, this is spiritual stuff. You're supposed to know it. Well, they didn't. How can you expect somebody to know something if they haven't experienced it?
Right. That's right. That's right. So you're a unique individual in the sense of you have a one-to-one relationship, and it sounds like a very visual and a very alive relationship with Jesus. That's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
No, it's got to be fantastic.
It's, I could tell you stories and stories and stories. And may I add something?
God, please. I love it.
So I've been thinking about your extremely unique destiny, thinking about how it transpired and everything that you've done to overcome it. And I am extremely honored by your strength,
Thank you.
and your transparency. But you were saying there just a bit ago, because I've had hence my next book, which I haven't said anything to anybody, hence my next book. You know how you try to keep it secret until it's published?
Yep.
But there are some certain doctrines that will be changed. But I was thinking about you had shared that story where you had the angel dreams about your dad, your folks in the heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
About that, and I was thinking about it, and then you had mentioned something, how some of your memories had changed.
That's right.
Well, your memories of your folks have changed because you saved them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say yes. I'll say yes and more yes. But I do believe, just to give our listeners a little insight into what you're talking about, is I do believe that, and again, I don't know if this is true or not.
Huh?
And to me, it doesn't matter because it gives me peace and grace and connection and fortitude and comfort and solace, right? So again, I won't know if this is real or not until I'm on the other side. And what I believe is that me and my parents were up in heaven, and we don't know each other, i.e., in the sense, it's not my mom and dad and me, it's just three angels hanging out, right? And then we're thinking about what we're going to do next lifetime. And the angel that's my dad says, "Hey, I got something." We're like, what do you got? And he goes, hey, Angel Rhonda, what about you help people master fear? And I'm like, me help people master fear? Me? He's like, yeah. Why don't you do that? I'm like, oh my God, I would love to do that. That seems really important. Oh my goodness. And he goes, okay, but if you're going to do that, something bad's going to have to happen to you. And I'm like, oh, okay, something bad. What? He goes, how about if I be the dad and you be the mom? And you know what? How about if I'll be the bad guy and I will kill your mother and I will kill myself in front of you? And we're all like, yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. Yeah, that'll be horrible, right? That'll be great. He goes, yeah. And then you'll, from that experience, help people master fear. And I'm like, yeah, we're all in it. We're all in it, right? We're like, yes, that's great. And then, of course, we come into this earth, we forget all of that. And then we have to crawl through glass, right? And we have to keep moving forward. And something's calling us. I do believe that we're, when I teach a certain class that I do, a fear of spirit class, I talk about how
Did you say fear of spirit?
fearless spirit,
Fearless spirit. I thought fear of spirits. That's just the opposite of me. I would say helping people live spiritually brave. I went, fear of
fearless,
spirit.
yeah,
Yeah.
fearless spirit. I talk to them about, you've definitely had it. I think many people have had it, but they may not claimed it. They may not have claimed it yet. But I think most people have received a message from spirit, from God, from source that was crystal clear. Like they knew I'm supposed to do this. I am 100% no, I'm supposed to do this. Well, then what they do, they get that moment and they are crystal clear. But then what happens is they go into human reality and they get covered up in their muck and mire of the journey and they lose that connection to that one moment. And what I tell my students and my clients is when you have a moment of clarity like that, I don't care if it lasts a millisecond or a half of a millisecond. That moment is more real than anything else you've ever experienced. That moment
Mhm.
that moment is what you lean towards. That moment is what you go towards. I don't care the other 23 hours and 59 minutes and 59 seconds. That moment of crystal clarity is the truth. And that is what I don't want to say attached to, but for lack of a better word, that is what you aim for.
Mhm.
That is what you aim for. And when you aim for that, I do believe that it's almost heaven or Jesus or God, whatever you want to say, giving you that insight. It's like opening up the skies of heaven, going peekaboo and giving you an insight. And then shuts and it's going, good luck with you, good luck, have a great, good luck, right? And it's our job to go, I got the message. And that is from heaven itself. That is from God himself. That is from Jesus himself. Again, whatever it is you want to name or call. And that is the thing you quote unquote pursue. That is the thing that you focus on, because I do believe it is a piece of heaven coming down to earth
Mhm.
to remind you who you are and to reinvigorate you and purpose you and repassion you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, that is how I think I've lived my life. Even when I was at my worst, somehow I knew, even though I wasn't clear, somehow I knew like I was supposed to do this thing, even if it was, I wasn't healthy during the time, but like I knew that I was supposed to do that thing. And I'll say one other thing. I also believe that God knows us so well that he uses our fear and our ego to get us to learn the skills needed and necessary for our ultimate mission. So, for instance, I'm in fear. I'm a little girl in a dysfunctional family, and I always wanted to be an actress. But I grew up in a little town. There's no acting. There's no acting. And I go to a bigger town for college. But again, everybody now is a really good actor, and I don't know anything, so it's not possible for me. And finally, I meet an actress, and she's moving to LA, and I go, I'm coming with you, because if I don't go now, I'll never go. So I literally quit my job, moved to LA, knowing no one, not any. I mean, I just I have to leave, right? So I'm here, and I'm becoming an actress, and I'm actually getting quite good at it. I mean, in the sense of I'm getting more jobs and more jobs, drinking on the side, of course, but getting more and more jobs. And I wake up after a few years of acting and realize I don't really want to act anymore. So this dream of being an actress was seeded in me when I was a little girl, like 4 or 5 years old.
Mhm.
And now at whatever 32 I was or something like that, it was ripped out of me. It's like I had zero desire to be an actress. And I'm like, how can the thing I've wanted my entire life be no longer what I want? So I went through, obviously, I did quit because I was like, no, I know I'm not. And I had nothing to replace it. I had nothing to replace it. Right. So now I'm in another dark night. I'm trying to get pregnant. I'm married, can't get pregnant, never get pregnant, unable to get pregnant. I'm infertile. So going through that as my career, and I'm leaving my career. So here I am, infertile, don't have a career, don't know who I am. What the hell? So now during those years that I was an actress, I would always pray for a series. Please, God, give me a TV series. Please, God, give me a TV series, right? So then I quit acting. I quit acting. By acting, I'm no longer going to act. Okay. And one of the reasons I quit acting is I tell myself is I don't know who I am. I'm tired of playing roles. I want to find out who I am. Well, then, as you know, the punchline, that was when I was 32. Well, by the time I'm 40, I'm on the first TV show in the world with a life coach changing lives. And I have 3 series and 600 episodes. So God says, well, I need Rhonda to know how to be on camera. I need Rhonda to be a great speaker. I need Rhonda to feel good in front, like to be comfortable because she's going to do this thing on TV. I need her to do all that. So I'm going to use her ego to get her to want to be an actress. And then I'm going to rip it away from her. Right. But I had the skills. God gave me the skills. Right. And I was able to apply the skills that I had during my drinking days and all those things and apply them when the opportunity came. I was able to answer the call. So when people say they've wasted their life, I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Every single solitary thing you've ever done, every single solitary thing you've ever seen, every single solitary thing you've experienced is needed and necessary for you to fulfill your mission on earth, period, end of story.
It is.
Yeah. So here I'm on TV being myself. That to me was crazy. That to me is the power of God. Like, come on. Come on.
So one of my passions amongst in that breakdown of re-educate the educated is actually teaching people that they can go back and forth.
Yeah.
They originally got the clarity so you can go in and experience and see and feel and yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation offline about
Yeah.
what
So,
exactly you.
yeah,
I think I need.
Jesus is the door, woo, this is the door. And okay, I've had a bazillion spiritual keys. Hello, doesn't this open something?
Well, I definitely think I have to have an appointment with you, but so does my sister because my sister had a magical experience with Jesus. Very, very, very close to Jesus. Like Jesus came to her a couple times, 2, 3 times already.
Yeah.
And so I'm just telling you that.
My goodness. Oh, this is fun. This is fun. So we're just about an hour. Let me see. Okay. What normally people would have asked you in the introduction. See, I wanted you to be able to share and talk because what I sense from Holy Spirit is this pull out her joy. Pull out her joy, pull out her joy, pull out her joy. And I went, okay, we've accomplished that. We pulled out the joy.
I say yes.
You please now, if in a nutshell, can you share with everybody who didn't do all their research like I did to know what your story, what your first glass tunnel?
Yes. Well, I think I've already given it away, but I will definitely share a little bit more about it. I believe that the seed of our destinies are planted in our worst days. So my worst day was what you're referring to as when I was 14. And my parents were separating. And I grew up in a little tiny town in Upper Michigan, 365 inches of snow a year, 2 restaurants, Douglas House and the Big Boy. That's it. Didn't have a McDonald's. And my mother, it was Father's Day. My father was coming over to take us to Sunday brunch. And my mother's in her bedroom, fluffing up her beehive hairdo and putting on her rose-colored lipstick and doing her blue eyeshadow. My sisters are fighting in and out in our one bathroom. My dad comes in the side door and goes, come on, let's go, girls, because that's what dads do. And me and my mom start walking towards the back door. My 2 sisters are still in the bathroom fighting it out. And as we're walking out, my dad recognizes that it's raining. So he says he's got to get his coat from the car. Now his coat is a tan Naugahyde leisure suit coat. So he's looking pretty hot. Put that coat on, right? You know what I'm saying? You're old enough to remember those Naugahyde leisure suit coats. We both are here. And so as my mom and I are walking out, he opens the trunk to his car. I see out of the corner of my eye that he is not grabbing a coat, but he is grabbing a gun, and he starts yelling at my mother, you made me do this. You made me do this. And he fires. And I start screaming, what are you doing, Dad? What are you doing, Dad? Stop, Dad. What are you doing? And he cocks the gun again and points it at me. And I absolutely believe I'm next. He blinks, I blink, he blinks, and we're just, locked on each other. And my mother sees what's happening, that gun in my face, and literally with her last breath screams out, no, don't. And my father, realizing that my mother's still alive, takes that bullet intended for me and shoots her a second time. And that second bullet goes through her abdomen, out her back, and lands in the car horn. And for the next 20 minutes, all we heard was, and then my father cocked the gun one more time and put it to his head and fired. So in a matter of 2 minutes, I was the sole witness of watching my father murder my mother and commit suicide in front of me. And I don't know how you would have handled it, but this is what I thought. It's my fault because I did nothing heroic. I did nothing. I was the only one that could have physically stopped him. I didn't grab the gun. I didn't kick him in the shins. I didn't jump in front of my mother. I did nothing. So when you don't save your mother, you don't get to be happy. That's off the table for sure. And basically that day I split into two, the outside Rhonda and the inside Rhonda. And the outside Rhonda is straight A student, a class president. I'm fine. Play basketball, go to college on a scholarship. I'm fine. But the inside Rhonda, so much guilt, so much shame, so much humiliation, so much self-hatred because I did not save my mother and I did not deserve to be happy and live a good life. So from that moment, I just lived these two lives. And when I hit college, I discovered alcohol and that numbed the pain a little bit. And so I eventually became an alcoholic. And during those years of drinking, I got 3 DUIs. The third DUI, by the way, I spent a little time in jail because that's what you have to do when you get 3 DUIs. And then I tried to kill myself 3 times. And the third suicide attempt, I realized something. I realized I am not good at killing myself, not skilled at it. And I've got to figure out another way. So by the way, when you try to kill yourself, they do put you in a psychiatric ward for evaluation. So I was deemed not crazy. They let me out. And during those years that I was drinking and suiciding and DUIing, I was also going to therapy and reading books and going to workshops and keeping God on the other side of the line because I can't trust you, right? So I was doing everything I knew I could without taking him back yet. But I realized after that third suicide attempt that I'm here in my little studio apartment, isolated, I had a lot of knowledge and I had a lot of tools, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling that there's something wrong with me. And that feeling of something wrong with me, I knew that I just felt like I had to start over. Like all the things that I'd done, all the things I'd learned weren't helping me now. They weren't, again, a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, a lot of tools, but they weren't helping me right now. So I told myself, what do kindergartners do? Well, they get a calendar and gold stars. So I went to the store, got a calendar and gold stars. And for the next 30 days, I put a gold star on every day, every time I did anything good, like, drank and didn't get drunk or got angry and didn't break anything or, called a friend just to say hi. I would give myself a star. And at the end of 30 days, I had a calendar filled with gold stars. And that was my hope. That was my hope and my belief that things could change. I still didn't understand the fear aspect yet, but I did understand that I could change my life. So that calendar became my hope, my path forward. And it's actually one of the things that I teach my clients today. It's called acknowledgments now. Today, I acknowledge myself for, and you acknowledge yourself anytime you take a stretch risk or diet, anytime you put a gold star on, and you give yourself credit so that you can fill yourself up and remind yourself that you are moving forward.
It's a brilliant framework.
Thank you.
Simple.
Simple. That's right.
Just celebrate yourself.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I'd like to ask one question in your story. In your story of putting yourself back together, because you're no longer split.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're no longer split. And you can perceive what went on, what happened.
Yeah.
Where was Jesus standing? Because I know you can see him there. Where was he standing when that happened?
Well, when you ask me in this moment, I'm like, he was right there in the middle of it all. He was right next to my dad.
Yeah. Never leaves you, never forsakes you.
Nope. I know that to be true.
Yes. Oh, I love those pregnant pause moments. And I always invite people just stay right there. Just stay right there in that pregnant pause we call Holy Spirit. But I do want them to hear how to get hold of you. Put together wonderful show notes. I will have every kind of connection that I can share, links and all that stuff. But I want them to hear it from you.
Sure. Just go to fearlessliving.org, fearlessliving.org. And if you go to fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK, I actually have a free course that you could go take. fearlessliving.org/risk RSK. And in order to move beyond fear and more into the light, you must take what I call stretch, risk, or dies. Now, they're not stretch, risk, or dies in Jesus, but they're stretch, risk, or dies on the human plane, right? You have to stretch yourself, you have to take risks, and some things you're going to do, you're going to feel like you're going to die. So if you have a goal or dream,
I thought you said that word so fast. I went, what?
stretch, risk, or you're going to
Stretch, risk, or die. Stretch, risk, or die. She said
risk,
that so fast. I
or
went,
die.
I'm going to have to ask her what that word means.
Yeah, you're going to stretch yourself, you're going to take risks, and you're going to feel like you're going to die. And the point is that you're not, right? You're not. And so I have a course. It's 3 15-minute videos. It's got worksheets, got everything you need. Just go to fearlessliving.org/risk, RISK, put your name and email in, and you'll get access to my platform in the course, and go take it. It's 3 15-minute videos, gang. And I promise you that this is going to really support you. And then you'll be on my list, so you hear the things that I'm doing. And of course, feel free to get off my list if you like. And of course, I'm on all social medias at all Rhonda Britten. All social media is Rhonda Britten. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. We are clapping. Yay. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a tremendous honor.
And fun. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Been great.
Oh my goodness. Wasn't that just a delightful episode? A wonderful interview with Rhonda. She is so authentic and fun, and it's so easy to relate to her testimony, and you go, oh my goodness. It is amazing what the role of love does to heal a person. It's just amazing. I want to remind you again about the course that Rhonda mentioned for us at fearlessliving.org/risk. Remember, it's 3 15-minute videos, and she's got worksheets and everything for you. Just go to fearlessliving.org/risk. Put your name in, your email, and you'll get access to her platform in the course. You make sure you go take it, connect there, be encouraged. And today is a great day for you to begin making your own star calendar of moving forward, of believing God that your life is, will be, and always will be transformed in His goodness. Oh my goodness, the role of love to heal us. You have an absolutely blessed day. I look forward to hearing from you. Make sure you hit follow and subscribe, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye now.